Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Void with Vince and myself. We're so happy to have you today, and we have a special guest with us, Ken Lundy. And Ken is a fellow veteran friend. We met him at the VBC, Veterans Beer Club, where we have here in Orlando. And we've been going back and forth about when are we going to have Ken on. And so we finally get to that point today, and we're so excited. Vince, just another opportunity to get this great veterans on our show, highlight what they do, and just hear what they have to say.
Indeed. We have a Navy vet, Ken Lundy, as you mentioned. He is the founder and executive director of P.H.A.R.A.O.H.S mentoring program. And again, so excited, so glad to have him on our show. So Ken, with that, tell us about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, good morning, Enrique and Vince, happy Monday. My name is Ken Lundy. And, when it comes down to P.H.A.R.A.O.H.S and myself, just like you mentioned, I'm a Navy vet and the founder and executive director of P.H.A.R.A.O.H.S. And it's a mentoring program primarily focused on high school males and helping them with certain traits that will enhance their well-being in their life, going anywhere from pride to health, academics, respect, to ambition, being outstanding, being helpful, and being spiritual. So that's a little bit about the mentoring program, and I'll get more into that as we continue on our conversation. But I'm a Navy vet, born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, and basically after I got out of the Navy, finished my bachelor's and my master's. And and when it's all said and done, we'll have some conversation about how my mom kicked me in the pants to get myself together, and those same traits and leadership abilities are what I and my team helps our mentees.
Yeah, talk about specifically, and thank you for what you do with the youth in our community here. And you mentioned your mom, and if for those looking on and looking at the video, myself, Vince, and Ken are wearing purple, and it is really to honor the life and the legacy and the leadership legacy that your mom left with you. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, her favorite color was purple. And so we got our purple shirts on here. And Enrique is wearing purple. It's not blue. It is purple. And appreciate that. It was her favorite color. She mentioned that it symbolized royalty and richness. So as that pertained to my upbringing, as I was mentioning, started out in college, right out of high school, thought I was the smartest thing and the most cockiest guy. Got up to university and pledged a fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And next thing I know it, I was majoring in fraternity and sorority life instead of focusing in on my academics. Next thing I know it, I was at home and working a little job there. But, my mom was talking to me and was like, hey, you're supposed to be doing this and that. And what are you doing for yourself now? And I was like, well, and she said, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to do something. You're going to get up off my couch. And so I told her I'm joining the Navy. And she said, great, I'll drop you off at the MEP station. So with that, fast forward, after my 4 years in the U.S. Navy as a machinist mate, working down in the ship's engine. After I got out of the Navy, I listened to her. Got out of the Navy and used my VA benefits to go back to school. Got my bachelor's at FIU, and then my master's in business at Nova Southeastern University. So when it comes down to the qualities that, or some of the qualities that my mom instilled in me, and first off, happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers, to all the grandmothers, to all the father mothers, those single fathers who are raising their children. Happy early Mother's Day. We love you, moms, and we adore you. And so those traits that she taught me to get up and go, the pride, cultural pride, the health. And I'll talk a little bit about that later as part of the acronyms for future pharaohs. The P standing for pride, the H standing for health, which is very important at this time. Academics, and not just traditional academics team, but even the military, vocational training, certificate programs, respect. Not only respect for yourself, but your respect for, because once again, I work with all males, respect for the females, respect for women, ambition, not just being good, but being great and doing those things that you need to do to be great, being outstanding, really working at something and working hard, and then helpful community service, reaching out and helping your fellow man, which is very important nowadays as well. And the last is spiritual. So it may not be traditional religion like it, but that taking care of your spirit, your mind, body, and your soul. And so what I and my team do is on a monthly module, and now we're doing Zoom. So just like we're zooming into you guys and what you guys are doing, which is fantastic, the Leadership Void, we Zoom right on into our mentees, which once again are ninth grade and mostly ninth graders. I have about 15 to 20 mentees that I work with. And what we're doing once again is meeting with them on a monthly basis to go over in an educational fashion, interactive fashion, these 8 great traits is what I call them.
That's wonderful. And your role specifically, as an executive, what is your role specifically? What do you do with the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Enrique, for that. What I do specifically, sir, is everything. And so being the founder and the executive director, you're really working with anywhere from grant writing to staffing, actually getting mentors to mentor, working with, I work with the Seminole County Public Schools, Orange County Public Schools, as well as Osceola Public Schools, and starting to venture into Volusia, which is right in my back door, working with marketing, working with partnerships. So working with folks just like you to see how we can partner, all the way to, more importantly, creating a curriculum for the students to help really take them from good to great. So, back in the day, we got a lot of those soft skills in schools, and nowadays they don't get those soft skills. So in addition to creating the curriculum, I actually mentor as well too. So those are just some of the things that I do on a daily basis. And nowadays in these times, it's really, it's tougher to do it, But at the end of the day, the children are our future, and we have to help them uh, get to the next level so that they can help us.
Well, thanks, Ken, for that. Definitely an important opportunity to bring the boys into understanding what a man's all about, and to that point, what a leader's all about. To those 8 traits are very on point to what you're doing, and we applaud you. And as we're here to help and share the wealth of this opportunity, folks, that if you have any young sons out there, Future Pharaohs is out there to help out. So please tune in and help understand that there's avenues for them to grow. So with growth and improvement in leadership, what do you see are the areas that mostly need to be improved right now for our leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. Leadership is very important. And, when it comes down to it, I teach leadership. So, back to your original question, Enrique, I teach leadership. It's baked in with each one of these traits. So, when you talk about some of the leadership traits, you're talking about being ambitious. So you have to work hard at something that you love to do. And it's not going to come easy. I was just watching Michael Jordan and the documentary The Last Dance, and he to me, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. So sorry, all you LeBron James fans out there. I'm partial old school to Michael Jordan because he was talented, but he then became a champion when he leveraged his leadership abilities to help others. So one of the important traits is you become a leader when you are focusing in on the team. When your team does well, you do well. Originally, I was in banking. I was a branch manager and worked with several large banks. And initially, my first branch, I was all focusing on me and how I was doing. But only when I started focusing in on my branch team did they become better, and that made me feel good as a leader. So leadership qualities is being ambitious and helping your team grow, helping your team be the best that they can be. Another important trait is really focusing in on the plan. So if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So another very important leadership quality is planning. So within these traits, guys, I teach my students or help coach them that it's important to plan. So I work with freshmen primarily because I want to help step them all the way up to being a senior and then eventually graduating and become great members of the society. But you have to plan, right? So that's a lot of what's going on nowadays with my mentees, even though with this pandemic, life goes on. And so you have to plan for the future. So right now we're working with financial aid. We're working with the various schools. We're working with, what's the backup plan if the students don't go in the fall and they feel like there may be a danger. So it's very important. Leadership qualities, it's more than just a title. Leadership is a way of life. And back to the story of Michael Jordan, he only became great once his team became great, once Scottie Pippen became great, once Dennis Rodman became great, and then next thing you know it, championship.
Yeah, I always have said that leadership is best delivered at the soonest point that you can get folks, right? As soon as they start thinking that they might want to do a little more than the normal. And the fact that you're focusing on the youth and instilling these traits into the youth that you mentor is refreshing, because we know that at least this group, right? And I taught the Sea Cadet. I was a CO for a Sea Cadet unit,
Uh-huh.
and we had about 25 kids. That unit is still going on in Gulfport, Mississippi, and they're 50 strong now, right? They're big, but it was always good to see those kids think about all these things that you're talking about, right? That you guys teach, because it makes you confident in the future. Right? We're not fortune tellers, but at least we can tell with what we're dealing with, and what we're teaching the youth, that they're going to take that into the future. And I really appreciate what you're doing with them.
Well, when it's all said and done, guys, it's really even though it sounds like uh, a good idea, because it is a good idea, selfishly or not, because these are the individuals that are going to be taking care of us. These are the former presidents of the United States. These are the former admirals. These are the former chief master sergeants. Uh, and so selfishly, I want to invest in my future by investing in these youth. And, it's, the age of the cell phone and the age of all these social media. You have to get in there and work with these young men, because they only are going to listen to you, team, if they know that you care. There's a cliche out there that I can't remember the exact cliche, but at the end of the day, when you care about your team, they'll care about you. That's another leadership trait, is care. How many leaders really care about the folks that they lead? Because when you care, you'll be sympathetic and you'll be empathetic to know that this, whether it's a class, whether it's your troop, your Sea Cadets, like you're mentioning, Enrique, whether it's your children, right? You're the leader of your household, the leader of your church group. When you take the time, and that's another trait. Back to my mom, I want to take a little time to show her picture here. And I'm going to put it right there. That's my stepfather, and he's with the Lord, but that's my mom right there. And so she wasn't wearing purple then, because I'm like, man, how are you gonna be liking purple? You're not wearing your favorite color in your picture. But moms taught me to care, because when you care about your team, then they're going to do the extra. They're going to take the extra miles, or do the extra abilities, or the extra activities to make you successful, right? But going back to that documentary with The Last Dance, Doug Collins was the first coach, or one of the first coaches of Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan started to flourish because the coach cared about him. And so in response to that caring, Michael Jordan was like, hey, I'm not going to let you lose your first game. So caring is important, because just like you were mentioning, Enrique, it's still going on. These folks, and it's not just mentoring youth. So let me get that out there. You want to be able to mentor your brother, your sister, your coworker, your husband or wife, your significant other. So mentoring is more than just adult to child. Mentoring is caring and training and investing that time.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ken. What resonates to me is service before self, what you're doing out there. And mentoring is a great opportunity, not just for ninth graders or freshmen, it's for everyone out there. And to the phrase about the caring, people don't care how much you know. It's really about they want to know how much you care, right? Mm-hmm. That's really the scope of that. And another great attribute of what you're doing is that we all know leaders are not born, they're made. So there's a continual opportunity to grow but first look within. You got to look within yourself to understand who you are as a person, to have that respect, to have that peace internally, that humbleness, that caring attribute, very much needed in this environment. What would you say is one thing that leaders are currently missing to go from good to great? What would you think that attribute would be?
Going back, caring.
Okay.
Caring. Vince, when you in team, when you care, you'll invest. And so the leadership void is the lack of caring, because working with these youth, it's tough. You got to roll up your sleeves. I work with students who don't have the best background, the best GPAs, the best of a lot of things. And so they're resistant because not a lot of teachers and administrators have really cared about them. And so then on the professional front, you have companies nowadays that don't care about their employees, putting them in harm's way. So to your point, it's caring, because when you care, then I'm going to put you in the best situation to be successful, and then I'm going to follow up. That's another important trait. So going back to your point, Enrique, you touch base with those Sea Cadets. I touch base with alumni of my program because at the end of the day, and I touch base with my students now through Zoom and other means because when you care, you're really going to do what needs to be done to help that team be successful, and it's hard work. Whether you're a leader of your household, a leader of your block, of your organization, when you care, just like you gentlemen do, you do stuff. It's action. So caring, the lack of caring.
Yeah, man, it's funny because that has been a conversation that Vince and I have been having in terms of leadership and the true void, right? Because our program highlights areas that are needed to be filled, and heart has been at the center of it all. When a leader leads without a heart, just by following a set of guidelines or set of things that they've learned but don't apply the heart, what you see is that people just do what they're told. There's no clarity to their mission or what they're doing. And so what the heart does, it allows those that are executing the mission to feel good about what they're doing, to really understand and actually be involved. And that success is spread around with everyone. And when the leader leads without the heart, if there's any success, it ends with him or her. And so no one feels the fullness of what it is to complete something, because the heart is missing, right? So it's very important to highlight that, and the fact that you're teaching the youth to care. It's once again refreshing to hear that these particular individuals will end up going forward and having an opportunity to affect and infect, their team with caring, with the heart. And I've seen many a hard task be completed and people be overjoyed at the end because it was led by the heart.
Absolutely. Because, to you guys' point, right, when we were in the military, right, we had SOP, standard operating procedure, right? And it goes, 1, 2, 3, ABC, boom, boom, boom. That was how you fold, how you do this, how you do that. Certain weights or measures has to be specific, but there was always a little bit of gray area, right? And so, to your point, that heart helps you to navigate through that gray area. I don't know if I mentioned it specifically, but my mom passed of coronavirus, COVID-19. On April the 15th, she was diagnosed with coronavirus, and Tuesday, the 21st, she had passed. But in the meantime, what I can hang my hat on is that the healthcare workers cared. She was diagnosed, she was treated, and they kept us in the loop. So I'm sorry if I didn't connect that loop, but my mom passed. But at the end of the day, it's the care that she showed me as a youth growing up to say, hey, I don't know how this life thing is going to work, but let me help guide you. And another point that I want to make is just because you care, team, doesn't make you weak. Okay, that's that. And let me kind of go just to kind of touch base. I want to bounce it back to you guys too, because when it comes down to, I'm gonna bounce it back. I'm gonna bounce it back down to Vince. I'm gonna bounce it back to you guys. Let's reverse it. The question is, does caring make you weak as a leader? I don't believe so. I believe it makes you stronger. But from my experience, from the military, from the the traditional industries and into education and the religion, I think caring makes you stronger as a leader. But let me bounce the question back to you guys. What do you feel that caring makes you weak as a leader?
Thanks for reversing it over to us. But so I'll start by saying, what we're filling in the voids that leaders had, and as Enrique pointed out, that's heart. And within heart comes it encompasses a lot of things. And it's not where you're from, it's where you're at, right? And where you're at today has a lot to do from where you come from, but you have to understand that some of us been brought up that caring, saying sorry is viewed as a weakness. So it's changing that, reframing that mindset, because being vulnerable, the bottom line, it's really courage. That's a courageous thing to do, to really say, you know what, I own up to what I've done because I really care about this and I care about myself. So there's a lot of labels that get thrown on us, and we have to understand that it's viewed sometimes as a weakness, that you don't care, but you have to really understand it's never a weakness. That word should never be in your vocabulary. That correlates caring, vulnerability, are weaknesses. So right off the bat, I will stop anyone and everyone, and especially as a male coming from a Hispanic household, that's a weakness. It's a courageous thing to do. It's a courageous thing to own up, to say I'm sorry, to care about what people think, to care about others. We're in service for others and before service for self. So that resonates highly in my cup of tea. I wasn't the same as I was 10, 20 years ago. It's a growing, evolving process to where I am today. And it's not hard. It's not difficult, but it's not easy. And you can do it because we all got the foundation from our mothers and fathers. So we know what the right thing is to do. If you don't have nothing good to say, what's the end of that one?
Don't say nothing at all.
Bam. Come on, man.
Well, I'll take a stab at it myself. As you and Vince were talking, I was just thinking about how I grew up. Where exactly did I learn to get the heart in it? Right, because I've been leading since I was 19 years old. As soon as actually 18, as soon as I came in the military, they assigned me the RCPO role from day one, and so I was leading teams from day one, and but the leadership evolved, like kind of like Vince says, right? Throughout time, you evolve, and then you know the sad part is that you have to get older to learn these things when we're trying. You know what you're doing, you're teaching the youth early. We're mentoring younger folks, Vince and I, through a different program, right? We're trying to teach them early. And the difference that I saw as I was going back in my head in my leadership roles was that at first I cared about the mission. That was it. And so everybody, I don't care how you feel or what you do or how you say it, but at the end of the day, we got to get this mission done. And so it was mission-oriented leadership. And that didn't require heart. It didn't require it. Matter of fact, it was probably easier not to have it in there because everybody was just, steaming full speed ahead. But guess what? At the end of that mission, nobody learned anything. They just did. That was it, right? So then I started stepping as I grew and as leadership roles expanded and things. Then I started adding not only mission, but accolades, right? So now you start giving people nice little things as they did, and so you saw something else. It wasn't until after till I started leading commands where I started looking at the aspect of heart, and when that happened, it really took truth to come in. For me personally, truth had to come in about who I was, where I was, and what I was in order for things to change and me start applying heart. And what I noticed that when I applied heart first, it all became easier. Everything. It was just amazing. You know, how a simple good morning, how are you? And actually listening. And then you actually ask someone to do something, they did it, no questions asked, right? There was no grumbling because they knew that your heart was in what you were asking, but you were actually more concerned about them than the mission. And and the mission has its worth and its importance, but it's people who complete mission. It is people who do the work for you at your company. So the more you lead with your heart, the easier it'll be.
Amen. Amen, brother. That's, and just to your point, it unfortunately for myself as well, it took a while. It took some learnings. It took those bumps and bruises. But at the end of the day, hopefully you don't lose, you learn. And so even when I lose, I win. Even when my mom was taken away from me, I still win because of the heart that she had. And I, just like you, as I was mentioning, learned that the hard way in my leadership abilities in the corporate world when I was all about the amount of accounts that we had to open, the amount of checking accounts, the amount of this and amount of that. But once I transitioned onto another branch and started to refocus my mind around the team, did we start to grow. And so that heart, like you guys are mentioning, helps you navigate through the bad times as well, to know that there's not really bad times, it's a valley, right? So you go down and that heart will help bring you back up. And so, even when I had been put on probation from college, and I was transitioning to going into the military. And just like you, Enrique, I was starboard command leader. So I was over, we had, our company 197 maybe had, I can't remember, like 100 or so people. I was over like 50 to 70 folks. But at the end of the day, when you cared, right, because leaders, according, I guess, another bit of information through John Maxwell, I got a lot of time to do some reading, and I'm not really a reader. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'd rather watch it on TV. I'm lazy, So even, sorry, mentees. Hey, I'll be quite honest with you, and I tell them guys too. Hey, I'm not the reading type, but readers are leaders. And so I've been reading a lot of John T. Maxwell along with some other literature. But in John T. Maxwell, he said leaders know the way, they go the way, and they show the way, right? And so, to that point of having that heart and caring, it's because you've done it and you've had those bumps and bruises. So now you want to help coach these folks into a better tomorrow. And so, just like you guys, I don't believe that caring is weak. Vince had me look at a video of on Netflix. Of course, now I can't remember it. But Vince, what was that? It was the anyway. She's a smart lady. Of course, I can't remember now. But she talked about being courageous, and when you're courageous, to your point, Enrique, saying I'm sorry is courageous. That's really courage. Saying, me telling you, my team right now, hey, I'm not really a big reader. That's taking courage. And so you have that courage makes you stronger so that you can go out and do the things that you need to do, knowing that you made some mistakes in the past, but you're looking at changing those and helping yourself be better. So, to that point, one of the traits is being outstanding as well as being helpful, because caring also is giving back, right? And so that's what you guys are doing, even in this arena right now. This forum that we're having right now is giving back. There's a lot of folks who may be listening out there in podcast land who are like, man, how can these guys be happy on a Monday when There's thousands of people dying. How can this guy Ken be encouraged when his mom just passed? How can, we be sitting up here, Enrique is smiling, got a nice little backdrop there, and got his purple blue shirt on and everything. How can this guy just be grinning and playing the bongos like he does and giving that energy, man? It's that caring and being helpful, because this is something that people should be paying for. People pay for podcasts or speakers, but giving back is helpful, whether it's through volunteering or not. That at the end of the day, man, this coronavirus should be a lesson, should be a learning lesson to a lot of folks, and hopefully our leaders will learn to lead with their heart, because if any situation is going to teach you that good or bad, it's this situation, that ultimately it's all about the heart. Those shout out to all the frontline workers. Maybe I said that before, but let me be specific, to the policemen, the sheriffs, the nurses, the doctors, the cafeteria workers, the food workers. Thank you for my Walmart folks, my Winn-Dixie folks, and I get my grub. Thank to my Chipotle. No endorsements, but honestly, how can you be? How can you have such a better attitude today? And it's because of the heart that my mom taught me, that your mom's teaching you, that the dads are teaching. Let's not forget the dads as well too. Dads have hearts as well too. And in our culture, it's just like, to your point, Vince. I was taught, my community was taught, man, you gotta be hard. You gotta be, tough, man. It's all about you. It's all about what you got going on. No. Because if anything, this virus is teaching us, it's togetherness. Only are we going to be able to, and the leaders out there, please listen. You're only going to be able to be successful when you really care, when you really have heart. Put yourself in that person's shoes, and then I think that you'll have a different attitude. If you were doing those things, how can you make a difference? And this virus, I don't want to say it's a good thing, but once again, to my point earlier, you don't lose, you learn.
Absolutely. And I wish we could talk all day, but time is coming up with this. And the resource you were talking about earlier, for everyone who's out there listening, is Brene Brown. She has a TED Talk called The Power of Vulnerability, and a Netflix special, The Call to Courage. So that's what he was referring to. So how do people get a hold of you and understand to get their children, their young men, into your program? How do they, and what's coming up for the program? Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, man. I could talk all day, man. I could talk all day with you guys. But absolutely. So first off, going old school style is, and right now I'm working on some of my resources, but you can reach out to me through email at P.H.A.R.A.O.H.S@gmail.com. That's P.H.A.R.A.O.H.S mentoring@gmail.com, and give me a call, 407-721-3155, because another thing that I'm doing now is creating my social media platforms and all that kind of good stuff. And then what's coming up for for future pharaohs is we're working right now. Actually, had a conference call this past weekend, working with students through our scholarship programs, and because the party don't stop, man. We're gonna push on through this virus, man, and we're gonna get these guys some scholarships, applying for financial aid. So those are the things, because at the end of the day, these students deserve, once again, our caring. So P.H.A.R.A.O.H.S mentoring at gmail.com. Call me 407-721-3155. If it's something that I can't do, I also have referral sources to get you in contact with other mentoring programs in your area, and applications to colleges and FAFSAs and scholarship.
Outstanding. That's amazing work that you're doing with the youth. We're so appreciative of you, and given the circumstances that you would press through and share your story and share what you're doing. Our heart goes to you and your family, and we'll be praying for you guys for sure. For our listening audience, I hope that you really honed in on the fact of leadership from the heart, because really this is what it is, right? This is where you make your success evident and actually come to pass. So next week we have another exciting show. We'll be continuing with our questions from our interview and educating leaders and trying to get to the bottom of those voids in leadership through our survey. And Vince, what else we got lined up?
Oh yeah, so as I'm going to go back and say, Ken, thank you so much. I salute you. It's an honor for us to have you on our show, and so graciously helping out those young men that need that light and need the seeds to be planted early. So continue going forward. Let us know if we can help you. But again, if you want to reach out to Ken and P.H.A.R.A.O.H.S mentoring program, it's P.H.A.R.A.O.H.S mentoring at gmail.com. And as Enrique mentioned, with this tunes out the month of April, and we're coming up to the month of May, and we're going to question number 3 of the survey. What is one mistake you witness leaders making more frequently than others? That's what we're going to explore next week. Folks, tune in. We're excited to have you. Thanks, Ken. Wearing purple for your mom. We honor her. Thank you for everything you do, and it's been a blessing all.
Take care, you guys. Have a good afternoon, man. I salute you guys.
Hoorah.